Go into the middle of the track. Absolute disaster. They were playing this week. I think that's where that's come from. Well, and he was terrible, and his mate Tom there. The lights will go out, and the Dutch TT is underway, and it's an excellent start from Vinales, and from Quartararo alongside him, though, goes in front, and Vinales is being swallowed up by Nakagami past him also. Round the outside, Alex Rins, who led here back in 2019, has also got through on Vinales, who drops into 5th place. It's Quartararo, made a brilliant launch on the Yamaha to lead this race, with Bagnaia in 2nd place, Nakagami excellent in 3rd, with Rins in 4th, and this is where Vinales has to fight early on. All contact there. Marc Marquez has made an excellent start from 20th on the grid. He's already made up 7 places.
Yeah, Marquez has actually got a very good race pace. I don't think he can threaten the podium, but a top 5 is definitely possible.
It's through the Ruskanuk for the first time, and Fabio Quartararo's got just the start he wanted. This is where Pecco Bagnaia, turn 8, he said that was the only place he was going to be able to pass, and he has made contact with Quartararo, and Nakagami has a look on the inside. Quartararo straight back pass, but he's going to go wide, and Pecco Bagnaia leads. He leads the Dutch TT and the Ducati. They found going so tough all weekend with the change of direction. Vinales in turn has got through on Rins. This is where the Yamaha comes into its own, Neil.
Yeah, it's the change of direction, the fast change of direction. The Yamaha's not the fastest bike, but through this section, normally you see the Yamaha working really well. He had a look then, did Quartararo, thought better of it.
Bagnaia covered it off into the Gert Zimmer chicane for the very first time. 26 laps of this race, 1 down, 25 to go. Marquez up into 11th, past his teammate already. Oh, Pole's got him back in the chicane, but across the line, it's the Ducati of Pecco Bagnaia who leads them from Quartararo, and then Nakagami, who also has quite decent pace this weekend.
Yeah, Nakagami's got a great pace. His issue's always been the first laps of the races. He has qualified better this weekend, but the main thing is he's got that good start, and here we are looking at the man. Taka Nakagami still never had a podium in the MotoGP class.
Could today be his day? Joan Mir there in 8th place, but you might have just seen behind him Marc Marquez not too far behind. He's made up 9 spots, the biggest mover from the grid, whereas Savadori has gone backwards 5. He's the biggest loser from the start of the race, although you might say with Marc Vinales dropping 3 positions, that's massive as far as his race goes, having chosen that soft front tyre.
Yeah, he has got it. I've just double checked actually. Yep. On the screen now we're getting a live tyre update. The only rider to choose that tyre. What will that give you? Well, it should give you a little bit more side grip, but you lose braking stability, and the one thing that we know Maverick Vinales is not good at is braking. The Yamaha's almost touched at that point. Looked a little bit dirty, but the fact that Quartararo was coming over to sort of open the corner out, I think will let him off.
It wasn't a sudden move, was it?
No,
it was a general drift, and Maverick had to roll off in that situation with Quartararo ahead of him. So it's Bagnaia leading them through up to the chicane for the 2nd time. He said his favourite corner on the track was turn 8. We were looking at each other before when we were discussing that. We're like, what's going on? But that's where he tried to make the move, didn't he? And you wouldn't have thought that, because the Ducati is labouring in changes of direction this weekend.
It was interesting actually listening to the leader, Pecco Bagnaia. He said he's got an incredible pace this weekend. What's happened to Rins?
Oh, Zarco and Rins have
collision at turn 10.
He crashed out of the lead here in 2019. What's gone on here? So
Zarco up the inside.
Oh, at the right hander. Oh,
that was, well, it depends who you speak to. If you speak to Rins now, I'm going to say that's a fair move. It's tight, don't get me wrong, but it's MotoGP. It wasn't like a silly block pass. I'm hoping he doesn't get a long lap penalty for that. I've got a feeling he might, though.
Right, okay, well, we'll keep our eyes on that one. I'm sure they'll say it's under investigation shortly, but as far as we're concerned, that the door's open there, and
the door was open. Yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it. But with some of the penalties we've seen being given out over the last few rounds, that could be a long lap penalty.
It's looking at the moment like Taka Nakagami being a bit of a block for Maverick Vinales there in 4th place. Can Vinales do anything on this run back towards the line through the Dauka slope? This is turn 11, and this sequence of 7 corners back to the start-finish line it's got corners, but it is like a straight, and that's here actually through these fast changes of direction. You thought again Quartararo was maybe going to have a run at Bagnaia. You'd think the Ducati might have the strength on stability on the brakes into the chicane, but he had enough pace and momentum.
Yeah, he's in too deep there, so that'll affect his exit, as you can see. Bagnaia then that wasn't him using the power of the Ducati. It was just the fact that Quartararo was in way too deep.
Yeah, he was running. You can't imagine the Yamaha would beat that Ducati in a stopping race into the chicane there. But the momentum, that's where he's got to make the moves. You also saw behind Nakagami held off Vinales and Zarco, who's just set the fastest lap of the race so far with a 1:33.4. You feel like Vinales can drop into the 32s. There you are. Oh, right on cue. Thanks for that. Under investigation, the incident between Zarco and Alex Rins.
My fear is by giving long lap penalties for what we're just going to call a racing incident, a racing move, it ends so difficult for the riders because it's always tight to make a pass. You have to commit. The rider on the outside has to sit up a little bit. That's racing. It always has been. You don't want that to now start to spoil our sport.
Yeah, and we're all fans of rubbing his racing. You as riders, ex-riders, know, don't you, when something's too much?
Yes.
You know when someone's done something that's naughty.
Yeah, a blatant, silly block pass where you've been rammed, collected, then that's totally different. But from the angles that we saw, I don't think it was.
They do have different angles in race direction. We'll see anyway. It's under investigation. It's not right. Something needs to be sorted. He reckons Jerez last year was something similar and related to it.
Yeah, the thing that started all this, and it looked like an identical high side.
So, we go on board with Marc Vinales. He's closed another 310s, but as they come round this final section for the final time and the run back towards the start-finish straight, it's going to be too little too late, unfortunately, for Vinales. Definitely much improved on last week in Germany, but as Quartararo comes into the Timmer chicane with 1 lap to go in the Dutch TT, 2.8 miles of this famous old circuit, it might be a Yamaha 1-2, but it's going to be Fabio Quartararo extending his championship lead. Sequence of right-handers to start us off. This is going to be his 4th victory of the season. He's had a brilliant race, and it all came from his start. They've got the start sorted on the Yamaha, that's clear.
Yeah.
Even Vinales got away well.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad start. It was only that collision with his teammate that cost him a couple of spots. Marquez has managed to get back in front of Aleix Espargaro. That'll be an interesting battle on this last lap.
Oh my God.
2 very brave boys.
This is one that you almost don't want to watch. This needs an 18 rating. The one we're going to see is Marc Marquez gets the Honda wobbling into the Ruskin hook, through into turn 7, back to the front, and it's Fabio Quartararo. Just 8 more corners to go. Vinales will take some comfort from the fact that he has got through up into 2nd place. He made a move. Unfortunately, the move just came a little bit late to challenge for victory. But I suppose it'll be a shred of comfort somewhere along the line that he's back in the podium fight, back in the fight for victory. Bear in mind, he hasn't had a podium since the opening round in Qatar. Up to the final chicane for the final time. And Fabio Quartararo is about to take his 4th victory of the season. And he's won the classic at the Dutch TT. Quartararo wins from his teammate Maverick Vinales. 1-2 for Yamaha, with Joan Mir in 3rd, Johan Zarco in 4th, top Ducati from Miguel Oliveira off the podium for the first time in 4 races. Marc Marquez takes 7th behind Pecco Bagnaia.
And Aleix set his fastest lap of the race in that battle with Marc Marquez. Fair play. That's throwing everything at it to finish 8th.
And Fabio, is that Tom, his pal? I think it may well be. Oh, we've got Zoe.
Here we go. Gav, go on, you're a golfer, talk us through it.
Oh, no! Wait a second, there's still riders out there. I can see this one going so wrong. Oh no, it's going to go into the middle of the track. Absolute disaster. They were playing this week. I think that's where that's come from. Well, and he was terrible, and his mate Tom there was particularly terrible, and he was.
We know what he needs to work on, and it's not his motorcycle racing, which is the good news for Fabio. But yeah, that backswing was awful. On a normal weekend, there's a lot of positives to take away for Maverick Vinales, but this has certainly not been a normal weekend for Maverick Vinales.
Yeah, I think for that one, Fabio Quartararo, it was a case they were shouting 4.
All I know is if he wasn't going to leave Yamaha at the end of the year, when we talked to Massimo Meregali, he would have batted it straight out of the park, but he didn't. No comment. And no comment says a lot of words to me, gives a lot of information away.
Joan Mir back onto the podium for the first time since Mugello. The world champion not relinquishing his crown just yet. Long 5 weekends off before the next round of the championship. Of course, back-to-back races in Austria with the Styrian Grand Prix and then the Austrian Grand Prix too. There is Dennis Foggia down there celebrating with Fabio. Be a party between those two perhaps in Groningen later tonight.
Not too sure about Dennis's shorts there. They look like he borrowed them off you, Gaff.
Not tight enough.
Fair point.
There we are, confirmation that
I've missed your shorts actually.